What we did in this Associated Press GFK poll is really try to look at Donald Trump's unfavorability, his negative opinion with a lot of Americans. It's something that we've known broadly, but what we wanted to do is really dig into the electorate, see exactly what segments of the population view him favorably and view him unfavorably. And as we got the results back, what we found is that he is viewed unfavorably by pretty much every group that you could imagine. What we found is that Donald Trump is viewed unfavorably by 7 in 10 Americans, and that includes about half of all Republicans. And if you really look at men and women, young and old voters, whites, blacks, Hispanics, conservatives, liberals, moderates, he is viewed unfavorably by a majority of all of those groups. It's quite sweeping, and what it really shows is that Donald Trump has a lot of work to do if he hopes to become president. Trump still leads the Republican field and is the favorite to become the GOP nominee. So looking ahead to a general election, you want to see where he could pull his coalition together. Who would be the voters that would put him on a path to the White House? And this poll reveals some really tough realities for him. About 60% of registered voters say they would never vote for Donald Trump in a general election. And that includes about 30% of Republicans. So when you're starting off with those kind of numbers, you have a lot of work to do in convincing Americans that you should earn their vote. Even though Trump is the favorite in the Republican field right now, it seems likely that the GOP race will go to a contested convention. And that's where you're going to have party insiders, delegates, essentially making the decision on who will be the nominee. And one thing that party insiders want is to win in November. And they're going to be looking at some of these factors, some of his unfavorability ratings, some of the public's negative views of him, and they're going to be asking whether those numbers are so high that it would make it almost impossible for him to become the nominee. One of the really interesting things to note is that even among voters who may be inclined to support him in this Republican primary, he is viewed unfavorably. In the South, he's had some big wins in states in that region. About 70% of Americans in that region view him unfavorably. If you look at white voters who don't have a college education, that's a group that has made up a sizable share of his voting bloc. About 55% of those voters view him unfavorably. So there is this phenomenon where even if you may be inclined to vote for him, you still may not view him positively.
Do you remember during the debate when he started lecturing me on New York values?